right, so Joel Klatt, he is a man of many talents. He calls the games on little show called Big Noon Kickoff. I don't know if anybody's ever seen one of these Big Noon games around here. We don't usually get them too often, but anyway, you might be familiar if you've ever checked one out. Joel Klatt's on those, but he also has a podcast, does a lot of other things. He is, though, talking about the Washington Huskies and how the AP poll does not value them at all, and he thinks this game against Ohio State could be a little tougher than some are anticipating.
The AP poll is such a joke. Washington got 0 votes in the AP poll. Are you guys willfully ignorant or just ignorant? Because that's a joke. You mean to tell me that there are teams down there getting 3 and 4 votes that would get absolutely slaughtered by Washington? Please tell me you just forget that they're in college football. Please tell me that this is a sign that you don't stay up late for games on the West Coast. Please tell me that you just haven't seen the Huskies play because they're all the way tucked up there in the great Northwest, because they've got the number 2 scoring offense in college football at 58 points per game. They got a hell of a quarterback, a coach that has built a winner before. Coleman is terrific. He's running the football well. This is a legitimate team with the second longest win streak at home in all of college football. And they don't have 1 vote in the AP poll. What a joke.
I mean, I can't really disagree with any of what he's saying. It's not that I think Ohio State's going to lose this game to Washington, because I definitely don't. I do think it sucks that Ohio State, if they win this game by 10 points, is probably going to be looked at as like they struggled with an unranked team. And it's like that is not indicative of how good this Washington team is, in my opinion.
The only bad thing about the Washington team is the defensive side of the ball. Like, that's offensively, they probably compete with anybody because they got the pieces to be able to do that with the quarterback, with Damon Williams Jr., with the Jonah Coleman and Denzel Boston. Those 3 can play anywhere in the country and be successful. That's how good those guys are. So defensively, they got some work to do. They got some work to do. And this thing could turn into a shootout if our defense don't come ready to play. But the thing is, I feel like they will. We've seen our defense perform really well. But that Damon Williams, I'm telling you, man, that mobile quarterback thing changes things a lot. I'll be interested to see who spies him, if Sonny spies him or Arvell spies him, to try to keep him contained in that pocket.
I think there's a lot more to what you said, Bone, about them not being ranked. I didn't really care before, but now that it seems like a lot of the talking heads, football, quote unquote, experts, even Vegas, seem to think very highly of Washington, I feel like us as Ohio State fans and college football fans as a whole got robbed of a ranked matchup.
Yeah.
B, this could have been like a resume building win for Ohio State, and maybe it won't matter if they just take care of business and win out, but it's not going to looking back on it in October, November, it's going to be like, oh, they went, if they take care of business on Saturday, it's just going to be like, oh, they took care of business against an unranked team. That's what they're supposed to do. Versus it would be like, hey, they beat a ranked Washington team back in September.
I feel like in the moment, it will feel like, oh, they just took care of business. They did what they were supposed to do. But if Washington finishes the season ranked, to me, that's a win against a ranked opponent.
No.
What you talking about?
I agree with you on that, but let's look at. I'm looking at their schedule. Not that we always have to care about this. Number one, it doesn't matter, right? Let's be clear on this. I'm just doing this as a thought exercise.
It doesn't matter for who.
It doesn't matter if Ohio State gets credit or not for beating a ranked team or an unranked team or whatever, because if Ohio State wins the games they're supposed to, and if they win a couple of the big ones they have on their schedule, obviously this one is one of them in my mind. But then, yes, when you play Penn State, when you play Michigan at the end of the year, like those are games that if you take care of your job and do your job there's not going to be any issue of, well, they were undefeated or one loss, but man, they didn't really play anybody. No, it's not going to come into play. All I'm saying is with Washington, this is a team that usually when you drive narrative about who's great and who's not in college football, they will bring up things like, well, like Indiana. Indiana smoked Illinois. Should Illinois be in the top 25? Not given that performance, I wouldn't say so.
They knocked them all the way down to 23.
But not out. I'm saying the fact that, it sucks that teams like Notre Dame having 2 losses, granted they were close, but they started the season 0-2 and stayed in the top 25.
I know it.
Illinois gets drubbed by 50 almost, and they are still in the playoff. They're in the top 25. But a team like Washington, because they apparently gave up too many points, to your point, Tyvis, their defense is a little questionable. They played Colorado State, gave up 3 touchdowns. Played UC Davis, let them put 10 on the board. Now they won 70-10, but still, the fact they scored any points is a little bit not great. And then against the Washington State in the rivalry game, again, they dominated that game and won by 30, but they gave up 3 touchdowns to a bad Washington State team. Defensively, that's where Ohio State, I think, has the difference in this game. Their defense will, I think, be able to handle Washington's offense enough to keep OSU's offense, give them time to figure it out on the road. If your young quarterback is having trouble there, if Julian Sayin struggles, this OSU defense will keep them in the game. And then I would anticipate by the second half, if not before, Ohio State starts to kick it into gear. But if, let's say, this game ends up being because of noise, because of this offense being really good for Washington, and it's a big test for our defense, if that all happens, that at the end of this game, it's like 34-24, people won't look at that as, wow, Ohio State went to Washington and played number 18 Washington and beat them by 10. They'll look at it as they struggled with an unranked team. And I think that's stupid if you've watched Washington play. They are better than an unranked team. They certainly should have votes in the AP top 25, even if they didn't make it into the poll. So,
yeah, the fact that they ain't got no votes is crazy. Like, they're out to lunch. Hopefully, when they get to November and the CFP starts doing it, hopefully those people have paid attention to enough football and watched enough tape, which I'm not going to hold my breath on that. But you brought up Notre Dame being 1-2. Notre Dame could be done because they play in Arkansas.
Oh, that's a very interesting game.
And this Taylon Green kid, the quarterback from Arkansas, he been getting a little buzz lately. Like, he could be like a pick in the draft.
Okay.
I would actually like to see it. I actually want to see him, what he does against him. Right now he's got 1,100 yards on the season, 12 touchdowns, 4 picks, and he's got a QBR 90.5, which ranks as 4th.
That's not bad numbers for what is he, 4 games?
6.
Wow. It's a big dude.
6'6", 224.
So people around here have been eyeing the line movement of Washington and Ohio State going from 14.5, and now it's down to 7.5. So it moved down another point yesterday. Yeah. That Arkansas Notre Dame line movement too. I think it opened up around 7.5, 6.5, and now it's down to 3.5 the last time I looked. So there's some wonky lines this weekend. I think you might see. I'm not predicting Washington's going to upset Ohio State, but you might see some other upsets around the country this weekend based off just line movement.
This is a good week for football. Actually, there's some really good games.
Oh, this is one of those weeks that you need. I actually told my wife on Sunday, this past Sunday, I said, honey, listen, I know I watched a lot of football this past week. You let me know what we need to do this coming week before Saturday. I will get whatever done I need to as far as like honey-do list, chores, stuff like that. I'm just requesting a noon to midnight like runway for Saturday because there's just games all over.
Oh, you're going to stay up and watch whatever West Coast game is going on? You're going to make it that long?
No, I figure there will be some tweeting late after all the games where I will just be hopefully talking and putting the smoke out there for people. Hopefully they want the smoke that I'm throwing out there as opposed to the other way around.
Throw a grenade and shut the door.
Shut the door. Whew, I was not sure where we went there. I had a little bit of I got nervous. I didn't know what you said. Shut the door is what you said. Thank God. But yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at this Washington schedule, by the way. They're at Maryland after Ohio State, Rutgers, at Michigan, Illinois, at Wisconsin, Purdue, at UCLA, and then finishing out the season against Oregon. Let's say they lose to Ohio State, which I predict they will, and I hope they do.
They better.
What I'm saying is the chance of them finishing top 25, I could see them having 2 to 3 more losses beyond Ohio State. So they would be probably like a fringe top 25 team, depending on how those losses are. Like if they play Oregon close at the end of the season, that's probably good. If they get smoked by 30, they're probably not in the top 25, right? How do they handle going to Michigan? That'll be a very interesting game because I think they could present some problems with that Michigan defense.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being petty and nitpicky, but I've talked about before how the AP rankings affect the first college football playoff rankings. And I just would have liked to have seen Washington be higher for when we get to that point. Let's say Washington only loses to Ohio State and then they win out until that first ranking comes out. I would have liked for them to have been higher so it looks better for Ohio State, because Ohio State might need some resume building wins when it comes to the seeding, because that Texas win isn't looking as good as we thought it was when it happened.
That's what everybody keeps saying now is like, well, they really haven't played anybody. And it's like they played Texas to start the season, but Texas is offense. Now, that negates it's all based on Arch Manning being bad. Because if your quarterback is bad, you're viewed as not being a good team. And that sucks, because Texas is a good football team. Arch Manning didn't play as well as he was thought he was going to play, which is almost impossible to think he was going to play as good as some had hoped. But yeah, like the Texas defense compared to Washington's defense, let's say this weekend, that should be night and day different for what Ohio State's offense is going up against. Obviously the mitigating factor is the noise. Like you're going to be dealing with a very loud crowd there. And if that rattles Julian Sayin a little bit, I don't think it will, because this man played in some big football games already, and he's shown up and played well. So are you worried about their defense?
Who?
Washington's.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's what I thought.
No, I'm not.